So to continue from my previous video, what I observed was, let's say there is a city where or a small town and a town home where in their home they had a couple of acres of land where they could grow something. So in a particular city, even if you were growing earlier, let's say the percentage of greenery stayed same in that city, which has happened like in the society where my dad lives. The number of trees in this society has been similar for the last couple of decades of our life here. But while the percentage of greenery is similar or nearly the same in this society itself, it's not healthy greenery. So it's not healthy because while there is, let's say there were 10-20 trees that were planted in this area maybe 2 decades back, those trees are still existing. But in the 2 decades that the tree have been existing in this area, when the soil was fertile, when the soil had less polluted conditions, soil, air, water was less polluted, the health of the tree that grew up in this area initially, in the first 5-10 years it had good health. But now, after decades of their existence in this area, those same trees which have been in a city for a few decades or in a village for maybe even 50 to 100 years, those same trees can have earth pollution related impact after 100 years, sometimes after 50 years, sometimes after 20 years. When even though the percentage of greenery is same, like there were 20 trees earlier, now also there are 20 trees, but if the 20 trees now and you're counting the percentage of greenery only by the number of trees you have, number of plants you have raised in that area, or just superficial level some percentage measure you are doing by just counting numbers but not on and are not looking at the quality of health of those trees, will my data showing that there is 7% greenery in this city be of any benefit to the people living in that city if that 7% land area where trees are there don't have healthy trees? Because when some city is showing there is 7% greenery, what they are technically might be showing is that 7% of the land area has trees and plants growing in that area, and the rest of it, the 93% of the area, has buildings and shopping malls and roads and offices and all these things. So if only 7% is trees and plants, the rest of it is only buildings. And if there are two cities where again, like, let's say similar data is there, same population is there, everything is same, one city has 7% land area with greenery, another city also has, let's say, nearly 7%, 7.2% one city has 6.9%, and you're doing a comparative and their population density is same, the percentage of the rest of the area having malls and offices and parks and other things are also same, whatever is there in that city, everything is same, and you're comparing now three cities like that. At that time, is it the percentage of greenery that is more important, or is it the quality of health of the tree actually the real measure that will show whether your city is truly green, truly healthy, truly good for humans to exist in that area? And at that time, again, if in these three cities with same population density, with same living condition, lifestyle choices, one city has trees which are giving you good quality oxygen, is that going to be the healthy city to live versus the city which doesn't give you good quality oxygen because the trees are dying? Like there are three cities, one city doesn't give any fungicide, pesticide, is kept the trees at organic health ever since the city was created, like for 40-50 years, everything that the city has done is kept completely organic, no air pollution, water pollution, earth pollution was allowed in that city. Will that have the best quality health or not? Right? Versus another city who, maybe if there is another city which allowed the air pollution conditions to continue in that area. Now even if two cities have same 7% pollution, but the air pollution was higher or never controlled or never checked in the right ways, that city again will, even if the percentage of greenery is similar, it will again be a poor quality health supportive city because the air pollution is high. If there is another city where not just air pollution is high but air and water pollution is high, again you have added another another layer of poor health conditions. And unfortunately, while I'm giving this example, in modern life, the opposite has happened, that we have cities with multiple levels of pollution going on. Not just cities, villages, towns, everywhere globally, multi-level problems are going on. And because multi-level problems are going on, when you even want to discern first, if in my previous video, as I was talking about the discernment, if the discernment is lacking, you will not realize that if I'm living in a major city, there will be at least 10 problems, 10 sources, 20 sources. And actually if it is a million population city, each person's personal choices are impacting your city's health conditions and air quality conditions and water quality conditions. So if million people are there, million people are contributing to the pollution. Yes, industries might be contributing majorly to the pollution, but even if industries, let's say there is a industry in Navi Mumbai, there are some industrial zones. So if those industries are, let's say you did a data analysis and you found industries are contributing to 10% pollution, you found garbage burning is contributing to 8% pollution, you found bursting of firecrackers during Diwali and in Diwali months is causing another 2% pollution. Like that, you have found some root causes, and total, though the number of air pollution parameters, the total is only coming to about 20%. Then also, if you are puzzled where is the rest of the 80% coming from, where is it coming from? Is it that and if you do not stop, even the 20% that you have already detected is a major source of pollution, and you live in denial that just because it's only 20% is only 1/5, or 8% is less than 1/10. So it is allowable pollution. That is where we are going wrong, because every time we have allowed these allowable levels of pollution to continue is how the health is and practices have got worsened and worsened with time, leading to poor health status and poor health supportive factors in your city or in your town or in your village. And every time you ignore, like if you just think, oh, my problem is only causing 0.1% pollution, let's not do it, if I do or don't do, it doesn't matter. It does matter, because each of us, each million, if it's a million populated city, each of us, that adds to the problem. If we now stop adding to the problem, will be equally responsible for reducing the problem. And yes, not all of us have to wake up at the same time to stop the problem. So you can't when the ban was also there in Delhi about firecracker bursting, let's say, and not every citizen is going to be conscientious and follow the law and everything, but if 1 million, I don't know how many people live in Delhi, but let's assume 1 million people live in Delhi, or 1 million people were buying firecrackers. Now because of the ban, let's say 1/5 of the population didn't buy the firecrackers that year. So even if the pollution levels didn't go down that year, by practicing the ban effectively, and if they continue practicing that ban, and now in the first year when only 200,000 people didn't do it, next year maybe 500,000 will not do it. So like that, you can continue executing that ban in a gradual manner. That is one thing that will help with reducing the pollution related to firecracker related bursting. But in general, Delhi also, why the people are not ready to admit that people want to continue their enjoyment and they do not want to be responsible for causing harm to so many people. That's why they want to live in denial. But you have to understand that firecracker ban, while you may live in denial, if it was indeed responsible for causing someone's respiratory illness. Now if in Delhi you didn't cause it, when you went outskirts of Delhi or to a neighboring state of Delhi and went and decided, I have family in Punjab, I'm going to burst firecrackers in Punjab. So you took your additional firecrackers now and went to Punjab. Now what has happened, the ban has created, and because the ban didn't didn't, let's say the 1 million firecrackers were there in the market last year also and this year also, even though there is a ban, the number of firecrackers didn't reduce and instead has increased. So again, the total air quality of the whole of northern India, and if most people, let's assume from Delhi, 90% of the population is from northern India, they're all going only to northern India to celebrate, or so are you going to have a high degree of air quality level, poor air quality levels in northern India regions, even if the ban was there in Delhi, and but you didn't reduce the quantity of firecrackers that were there in the market? So that is also equally important. You have to reduce the number of firecracker access, you have to reduce the number of firecracker sales. You want to give the firecracker industry some benefits for doing this. You can increase the cost of the firecrackers, right? So that way you can slowly at first increase the cost of the firecrackers, then increase the number of workers who are there in the firecracker industry to redirect them to a different industry. And already in that first video I was mentioning how air pollution is not simply caused by firecrackers, but it is also caused by the vehicles we are using, and our vehicles need mechanical fixing in multiple places in multiple cities of India. I have observed that. But there are towns, there are all these towns with lower AQI compared to Mumbai, but even though they have lower AQI, their air pollution levels are still high compared to the density of population, because Mumbai's density of population might be at 400 or 300, and there is another city whose density of population is 1/100th of Mumbai, but their air pollution levels are only 1/10th of Mumbai. That is actually a more polluted city in comparison to the number of people existing there. Does that make sense? Because let's say only there was an ideal world where the air pollution was only happening from vehicle pollution. In that comparison also, if you are only looking at vehicle pollution level, if 100 people are driving 100 vehicles and leading to 300 AQI in a city, if in the other city there is only 10 people, but those 10 people are also because 10 people are there, if our city has 300 AQI and those 10 people also follow the same practices which lead to vehicle pollution in that city, now because 1/10th people are there, the pollution level also in our city, if it is 300, in their city it will be 30. But is actually 30 also similar level? The ratio of pollution in that area is actually same, where 30 people are there and where 300 people are there. Does that make sense? So this comparative analysis of data also needs to emerge, which hasn't been done currently globally. Another comparative analysis, though people I did find in a city where, let's say, it was not 30 AQI, they had 60 AQI. Why? Because while the density of population was lower, the number of people not practicing good mechanical changes in those areas for their vehicles was higher. So that's why even though pollution density of population is less, air pollution levels are also showing up much less than the city life. The quantity of pollutants in the air in comparison to the vehicles on road are high. So it is actually causing those areas to be much more polluted in certain pockets of those cities where high vehicular traffic is going on. So what was happening for me, and those cities, because density of population is less, greenery is also high. So greenery is high, oxygen levels are better. So oxygen levels are better, but again, if if 10 those people are not repairing their vehicles and the air pollution is high because of the vehicles not getting repaired there, if the places where the roads are there or busy traffic merge areas are there, in those areas because my health was in a low quality status, I was immediately feeling the effect of air pollution in those areas. Or in those places where high percentage of trees are there, and those places I visited as a child also, so the quality of the number of trees in that area might not have gone down drastically. Maybe earlier there were 100 trees, now there is like maybe 90 trees. So looking wise, you might say only 10% reduction in trees might have happened. But while 10% reduction in trees might have happened, the problem zone is not just the reduction, or in some areas maybe if conservation efforts are going on, 10% increase in trees also might have happened. So there could be one area where earlier 20 years back there were 100 trees, now there is 90 trees in one forest. There is another forest where there is 110 trees. So one forest has cut down some trees, one forest has increased some of the trees. While both are going on, all these three places can still be polluted areas if while conserving the trees or cutting down the trees or just doing normal human activities, if all of these areas have high level of usage of health harming chemicals for humans and animals and plants of that area, then again it is a health unsafe city. So even if percentage of trees look very similar in all these three places, if none of these places have conserved the trees in the right way, which is health aligned both for the trees itself as well as the humans itself, what will happen is while the number of trees will remain the same or similar, even if the number of trees are same or similar, if the trees have started dying from the, like how I am having breathing issues or cardiovascular issues or circulatory or respiratory system issues from the pesticide poisoning as well as other chemical related problems I'm facing in the food and water and clothing, all the problems that I have discussed in all my videos related to my personal health or general health of population in the cities I have visited, all of these, which are all trackable data, traceable data, already enough scientific analysis of and evidence of these correlation to what causes these health harm is already present. The only issue is right execution or right understanding of what the data is showing is currently missing in some places, and after seeing the data also sometimes denial is there in some places, and some places after data is there, acceptance is there that this is the cause of the problem, people are not ready to change their patterns even though they know that their patterns are the ones that are responsible for this problem to continue. And some places people do not have any choice but to continue their patterns. Like I didn't want to add to water pollution on earth, but I'm living in places when I'm traveling, how much ever I try, if the local people do not understand that their water is polluted, I have to buy bottled water then if bottled water is slightly safer than the local water. So I have had to do that and force myself to use bottled water, even though I do know bottled water's harms, and in my previous videos I've talked about bottled water related issues, right? So even though I know that, but if bottled water is slightly safer or marginally safer than greatly safer than non-bottled water, I'll continue buying the bottled water. Now yes, in order to change my patterns, what is a better solution? Is my better solution to have bottled water, or is my better solution that all of us globally decide that we need cleaner water, why clean water is important, and how to start taking the steps to start cleaning our water supply? But if we don't take, and it doesn't mean simply that there are people who have done all these sewage water treatments, treatment of industrial waste, all these practices have been going on for again decades on earth, but those practices are not enough right now. Right now the only safe or the best measure to combat earth pollution is to keep making those small degree changes, monthly changes, daily changes in our life according to whatever we are awakening to is leading to earth pollution, air pollution, water pollution, food pollution in our area. So if you have woken up to 10 things needing change, no one is telling you to change all 10 things at the same time. But today, if you wake up that I live in this home, in my town home, my water supply is polluted because of the activities I am doing and my neighbors are doing, can you change your neighbors' patterns? No, not until a global awakening in your city is going to be initiated. But until then, if there is in a town, there are 100 homes, and in that town, in the 100 homes, 10 people have woken up, 10 homes have woken up to the earth pollution parameters that they are causing in their town life, to that is causing this earth harm, health harm, plant death, or plants are also getting slowly weakened over time. All these things you've started observing. You have to take the initiative to ensure that whatever you have woken up to, how you can change your practices, align your practices, make your practices safe for your health, your family's health, your particular piece of land's health. Now once you start doing it, seeing you, and you start after having done it in your own home, then if you start slowly building the pace of educating others, then only it can transfer from 10 homes in that area to 100 homes in that area, and then only that whole city will actually have a pollution free zone, right? Otherwise, if all the 100 homes in that area don't wake up, or if only 10 continue staying awake but the rest of the homes are not helping them, then they will have some problems. Then they might have to think of whether after 10 years of trying all these initiatives, your initiatives are not working in that locality where you are living, then what is your choice? Your choice might be to move to a city or a village where these conditions, and or a home housing society where all these health safe practices are already been initiated by people, right? You can't then stay in those areas where after having executed your policies, major people in your area are not ready to wake up. Same thing is happening in Delhi now. If those people in Delhi who are waking up, if policy changes are not happening, or right policy changes supporting people are not present in that city and also in the neighboring states of Delhi, then what will eventually emerge is mass scale deaths will emerge, because you have set your city up, set your policies up for mass scale deaths. Because you have to understand every degree of change you are resistant towards, not understanding where to make the changes, not ready to make the step by step gradual changes, then whichever place is not able to make the right changes necessary for that place to make, ends up seeing disaster. This has been happening globally for centuries of earthly human existence. This is how civilizations die, this is how whole cities fall, this is how floods and natural disasters actually get attracted to a city. People don't realize it, but a simple thing like earthquakes in Japan have increased, and to fix the earthquake problem in Japan, what have city developers in Japan decided to do? They decided that they are going to make earthquake friendly homes where damage will not be high, or all these earthquake safety protocol related homes they have designed now, right? But is that the real solution? That is a solution, temporary solution, that is not the long term solution. What is the long term solution to prevent earthquakes in Japan? Long term solution would be, first scrutinize what are the environmental conditions in your area which is increasing earthquake. What is the environmental condition in Japan that is increasing earthquake? From my understanding about Japan, it is the number of nuclear power reactors in Japan, because Japan is a production oriented society, because production was given a lot of value, and Japan is also a very modern technology oriented society. So now that modern technology that they were using had two choices of how to get the source of energy to drive these mechanical things that we use in our daily life. And Japanese society is the if what videos I've seen about Japan or heard from people from Japan, this is what I understood, that a lot of things are mechanized. They have vending machines dispensing you ice cream, also food, also all these things they are trying to mechanize there. But when they have mechanized all these things, first of all, too much mechanization has happened, and for supporting that too much mechanization, they were using a lot of nuclear power reactors to generate the electricity for it, and to generate the electricity for it, while nuclear power reactors can sustain for a while using whatever humans currently know about nuclear power reactors. The reality is many people do not understand the grander impact of nuclear power reactor when a nuclear power reactor goes critical, and at that time the only way to prevent that critical thing from worsening is to have a earthquake, because if an earthquake happens, then all the people who are let's say there is some radioactive poisoning going on in Japan's particular city, but people are not aware that radioactive poisoning is going on, because people are only still following protocols about nuclear power reactors from 50 years back. They have not updated the protocol, they have not employed people who will understand the protocol in the right way. So nuclear power reactor related poisoning is happening to multiple people, but people not being aware. While health symptoms might have been showing up in your physical health, social health, multiple levels of health, that thing might have been going on, but because people are not waking up, but because people are not understanding where they are failing, the places where people are completely misaligned with understanding where they are failing, those places are more likely to experience the tsunamis and earthquakes that Japan experienced. Now, those people who did understand, but if they didn't have supportive people also to help them take forward what they understood about the Japanese condition that is impacting health, now if they also continue staying there but are not able to initiate the right level changes in the locality, in their lifestyle, then again, if you continue the things that are causing the problem to continue and you continue it onwards for decades of your life, denial or not understanding the criticality of the problem or not understanding the deeper repercussions of the problem is the reason why the problem continues or worsens over time. That is the only reason. The only reason earthquakes are continuing over time is, and the only solution people could come up with is that I want earthquake-friendly homes, is not the real solution. The real solution is how to prevent earthquakes in our area. What are we doing as a conscious civilization, consciously, that we can now stop doing consciously or reduce doing consciously as well. That is maturity and evolution of humanity. And there are multiple things. Now I'm not going to go into detail about nuclear power reactor and other things, but it is the same problem in Delhi, it is the same problem globally with related to climate change, with related to health unsafe practices that we are doing. There are lot of things that globally people have to wake up to changing slowly, step by step in our practices in our daily life. And if we do not wake up to those practices that need changing, if we do not shift and realign our health back to more health safe practices, the more we stay in misalignment, the worse we are making our conditions of existence on earth. And when that worst phase reaches a critical point is the time when any city or town or country experiences large scale disasters that lead to death, large scale disasters that lead to mass scale sickness, which is what COVID was. But you are not realizing where it needs to be checked, how it needs to be checked, how it needs to be fixed. And when none of the right solutions come up, none of the right steps are taken, none of the right understanding is present in the people who need to take the right steps, again, mass scale people are not doing their job in the right way they were meant to do, or in the right way they had the capacity to do. But though they had the capacity to execute certain changes in the right way, do certain steps in the right way, all of which is a habit like thing. And that's why there is so many Japanese population that is still alive, because work ethics is something Japanese know very well. So that work ethics is important, but what has gone wrong is not the work ethics. Work ethics is right, but how much of work you have to do is also something people need to realize. So those people who face also natural disasters, and then their whole production of a particular city went away, and whatever they were producing, let's say there was a city which was the top in Japan for producing jeans, another city which was top in producing jackets, another city that was top in producing cars. or top in producing cameras. So now all the top production related activities have now gone down because of a natural disaster. But even though the top activity has gone down, which can also would have resulted in tanking of their economy a little bit. But what is needing when now people are going through natural disaster, what will happen when you have gone through COVID? What has happened? You are tired, you are exhausted. There are people with long COVID. There are people who are realizing slowly globally that the 12 hours their bosses are asking from them is not possible for them to do right now. They are too sick to do it, or they have to take care of a sick family member, so they can't invest that 12 hours that when they were a healthy society, when we were a healthy population, when there was a healthy workforce, you were able to do focus on your personal life things, right? But those people who are working in like these big cities where the companies, some people died because of COVID, they are not able to they are not deliberately rehiring because the economy is also turning down now. So whatever is the reason, whatever problems are happening, people are escalating and self-sabotaging the downturn phases by misaligning with the downturn phase. Because in a upturn phase, what is needed, if misaligned, causes a upturn phase to turn into a downturn phase, or a major upturn goes into a major downturn. This is where humanity, because up and down is not the problem, because there could be a company which is having minor level ups and downs, but if whatever policies they were doing, whatever social things they were doing, whatever community building they were doing within the company was all structured in aligned rightly, those companies might be facing slow ups and downs in their economic and financial parameters. Whereas if there's another company which is completely, just in a overproduction phase, like how Japan was, and which is how Japan is an example of that over consumerism. US economy is also an example of over consumerism. What happens when over consumerism happens and misaligned consumerism happens, and like Japan was supplying the product, US was using the product. Same way now China is supplying products to the world, other countries of the globe are using the products from China. But again, when over consumerism happens and it is misaligned consumerism, or misaligned with good health condition supporting factors, or even if it is not consumerism, in India, certain pockets of India are over consumeristic, but there are other pockets of India where people are not indulging actually in over consumerism, but even their daily practices are so misaligned with health that even if they are not being like a typical American or a rich society where lot of consumerism is happening, still health misalignment is there despite less consumerism there. So these are all the things people have to understand, because all of these factors are responsible. In some places it's over consumerism, some places it's mistaken consumerism, some places it's mistaken understanding of what is health aligned, some places it's denial of what is health supportive, in some places it is lack of capacity to initiate all the steps that are necessary to ensure good health and good life, and balanced health and life, and business practices, social practices, government practices, normal life practices. A balance is missing, and balance is usually always missing on earth at the time points of earthly existence when masculine energy oriented activities are given more prominence than feminine energy oriented activities. And when balance is missing, the places where even if let's say there are some matriarchal societies also there are matriarchal societies there in India, but because even though matriarchy has been superficially propagated in those societies, if the core context is still patriarchy based, which is what has happened, I'll talk about patriarchy maybe later, but again, anytime if only masculine energy is supported, or only at that time what happens is toxic feminine energy starts supporting that masculine energy, and which is what leads to imbalance. And in other times, if only feminine energy is getting supportive and toxic masculine energy then will be there, like and then that will lead to another kind of imbalance. The true balance only happens when masculine and feminine both recognize what is the importance of having a particular masculine energy mindset and policies, and what is the necessity also for feminine energy oriented mindset and policies, and what is a balanced perspective holding life. Then only true balance continues onwards in life. Otherwise it's usually skewed towards one or the other, and skewed towards massive degrees of imbalances, and whichever place it is imbalancing according to toxic masculine or toxic feminine energy related things, that is what will start showing up in their society, in their culture, in their family life, in their social life, in their whole country's set of economical conditions, things like that. I hope this made sense, and if people truly want to combat air pollution problems, you have to do this deep scrutiny. You cannot stay. And yeah, in my previous video, I don't know if I expressly mentioned this, but if Indians think that let's say you do a top 20 ranking of Indian city and it's showing that your city is in the greenest city of India, does that mean you are in comparison to other cities of India and comparison to the parameters used to measure this rating, you may be in the top ranking, but does that actually mean you are really a healthy city, green city, clean city? No. Just because you're cleaner than rest of the population doesn't make you the actual top level clean city. The real top level clean city will emerge when along with that greenery in your city, pollution was less, when along with the greenery in that city, health of population was good, along with the greenery in the city, the practices humans do at the social level, familial level, personal level, governmental level, work level, professional level, community level, all of it is healthy and balanced. That is when true green and true balance of green elements. Green means what? Green is a terminology used for earth safe, health safe, sustainable practices, but it's not a jargon. It's actually, while it is used as a jargon by some profit seeking people or misaligned people who do not understand what the green terminology means, but the green terminology, technically green or sustainable initiatives, all these terminologies means that you want to align back to Mother Earth, align back to healthy existence according to Mother Earth's policies of healthy existence, not according to human understanding of what is healthy, not according to scientific data, but scientific data which is getting misinterpreted, because scientific data only has shown pesticides have some advantages, but pesticides have more harm right now than advantages. So that's why you have to redirect your thinking, because what was considered as a good measure earlier is not anymore a good measure. Similar thing happened with tobacco smoking or alcohol drinking. There are many data that shows alcohol has some advantages, tobacco has some advantages, but again, if you do not understand even the tobacco and alcohol related data in the right way, you will not understand why previously there were data, or even now there are some data which shows some benefits to tobacco smoking or alcohol drinking, and why there is also data that shows these things are harmful. Because again, while data has emerged, the deeper scrutiny of the data, deeper discernment about what the data is actually indicating has not emerged on earth, and whenever it doesn't emerge or is completely misaligned is when mass scale deaths, mass scale disasters, mass scale problems exist globally in a particular country, particular city, or even at your individual or family life scale. So for everyone the problems will be at a different scale, but the resolution of the problems are also in that different level scale only. For a global city, global health problem, globally people have to take the right measures. For a country specific problem, the whole country has to take the right measures. Just one city cannot take it. With Diwali especially, I have observed this, like while I was having problems with the incense sticks, candles, the even lamping of camphor, or even just mustard oil based diyas, when eventually I stop doing all of them, while I am stopping all of these activities, if in my home no one else stops the activities, then also there is a problem. But if, let's say, me and everyone in my home is convinced this year we will not burst firecrackers, we will not light all these candles for a long time, maybe maximum we will do is burn an incense stick for a few seconds, that's it. If we decided that instead of adding to 10 items being burning, or 10 items being burnt by the family, or 100 items being burned by the family in the form of firecrackers, oil lamps and other different things, instead of that 100 items, we are only burning one item or burning something for 1 second. We contributed to reduction of pollution inside our home at the very least, or in our society at the very least. If I used to burst 100 crackers and I didn't burst any crackers, or I only burst one cracker, have I contributed to the local pollution impact? Right? And like that, if I do it and after me doing it my neighbor understands this is necessary, if the neighbor also does it, or there are other neighbors in my building who are not even Hindus, so they never burst crackers. Now for them, imagine they are never bursting crackers, but is their health still going to get impacted from the action of 10 neighbors who are bursting firecrackers? So do you have to think about your neighbors as well, or just your abundance? So think about it. And let's say in a society of 1,000 people now, slowly first year maybe only 10 people didn't burst firecrackers, 10 next year 100 people didn't burst firecrackers, next year 500 people didn't burst firecrackers, or they also started implementing, after the firecracker reduction, now they have also started implementing the oil lamp related reduction, the candles related reduction, the diyas related reduction. And do we have some other alternatives to candles and diyas? Do we not have alternatives like having lights that we could put in our homes? And again, those lights can also be epilepsy people related problems. Some of those flashy lights can cause epileptics to have epilepsy problems. So instead of flashy lights, can we only have one candle for the whole society? Does Goddess Lakshmi really need every home to burn lamps? Or those Americans and Indians or global people who are not Hindus, when do they not have abundance in their life when they don't pray to Goddess Lakshmi? They do have abundance. They're just praying to a different god for their abundance, and they pray it in a different way. But true abundance exists in a Christian's life, Muslim's life, Hindu's life, any other denomination person's life. As long as you are doing health safe practices, health aligned practices, abundance aligned practices, and abundance and wealth comes to you, abundance and health comes to you when you understand what is the true purpose of your existence on earth at the time point of your time on earth. Earlier, when lamps were being burnt during Ram Rajya time, at that time the number of percentage of population in India was not a billion population. It was not even a million worth of Indians living at that time. So at that time, if only 1,000 Indians were there, or 10,000, 20,000 Indians were there, 20,000 people burning one lamp was not a problem zone. Or 20,000, and when Ram came to Ayodhya back from winning against Ravan, at that time they celebrated it, but the whole Rajya celebrated it, meaning the community thing that I'm talking about whole community bursting firecrackers, that is what happened. The kingdom burst firecrackers, but not every individual in that kingdom burst the firecrackers. The firecrackers or celebrations were done as a collective group activity, not as every individual family doing it. It became a family specific activity when people started having more abundance in their life, and they started seeing that I don't want to do community activity, let's do it at an individual level, because they want to extend the number of hours of celebration they will be doing. So when you're doing a community activity, you get to only celebrate it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whereas when you are doing an individual firecracker bursting activity, you can burst firecrackers for 5 days, 10 days, 5 hours, 10 hours, like that. Your duration of bursting firecrackers increases. That's why you want to do it. But is it necessarily can you see where it is feeding only your ego when you just want to continue bettering and bettering than last year? Like last year, if you burst 100 firecrackers, this year you want to burst 200 simply because you have more money. Or last year you burst firecrackers for 2 days of Diwali, this year you want to burst firecrackers for 5 days of Diwali. So that thing that you are doing where you want to just keep increasing and showing off to others, does God need any of this show off? What do you think? Does God need you to show off how many firecrackers you can burst? Does your neighbor need you to show off that you have capacity to burst 500 firecrackers? Or is it your ego that needs it? Because and even same thing with the oil lamp, same thing with the any other the foods which we are eating and the sweets we are eating. Technically speaking, if I want to give sweets to my neighbors, that's great. But if I didn't give sweets to my neighbors, there are many years when I have been sick, when I have not lived in this country, when I have not lived in this society, when I have not distributed any sweets to any of them. So when I didn't distribute sweets, did abundance come to all of us? It did come to all of us. So when you do distribute sweets, if you distribute a little less sweets, there's not a crime in goddess Lakshmi's eyes, especially if you reduce less sweets and make it more health safe. Or if you celebrate a community activity where the whole community together of 1,000 people in a building together celebrate some Diwali function, will it reduce earth pollution if 1,000 people jointly celebrate a function versus if each of the families, like there are 300-400 flats there, if all those 400 flats celebrate it separately, and of the 400, let's say 300 are Hindus, so if 300 Hindus want to celebrate it, the other 100 people don't want to celebrate it, or they celebrate it but at the minimal level, not because it's not their cultural festival, so they celebrate it with their Hindu friends. So while they're celebrating it, or whoever is celebrating it, the number of houses, if they collectively celebrate it, is it a more fun experience? And do you really for fun, what is needed is more the collective experience, the heartwarming experience, the experience that takes consideration of other people's health, other people's life, other people's needs. That is what leads to true abundance in your life, which is what is important to the goddess of abundance or goddess of wealth more, because that is true wealth. True wealth is what? True wealth is always the human connections you created, the depth of the connections you have, the depth of caretaking you or efforts and mindfulness you put in your efforts with someone, the fun moments and times you spend with someone. Can you celebrate? Actually, realistically speaking, I celebrated for 13 years Diwali in US. Very rarely, only 2 or 3 times I have celebrated Diwali in the temples or burning candles or other things. But instead, you can also celebrate. There are so many places of India where they celebrate Diwali by putting rangoli, so that also adds colors and brings light, because when you're using rangoli, that also gives some light to you, right? So you can celebrate using rangoli, you can celebrate using spending time with friends, you can celebrate it doing community activities with your community in a larger city. You can celebrate it by like this social and charitable activities that I'm talking about. You will truly see that if you are a stranger in a city, or a person who has been living in a city for a long number of years by yourself, go and do these group activities that will bring you more joy, and group charity activities, group helpful activities, that activities that actually bring true light and true health to people's lives. If you invest your time doing those activities, that is what supports true abundance in people's lives, not the number of firecrackers you were bursting, or the number of sweets you ate, or the number of sweets and gifts you exchanged between people. This is something even Americans have started realizing because of Christmas related celebrations. You will see in Christmas related things also slowly now a downturn is happening, because once you have over consumerized something and overdone something, you will also start realizing the value of what is the true Christmas celebration that will bring happiness to someone versus just exchanging gifts with each other, or just similar things. Because in US during Christmas time, this same over consumerism, over focus on celebrations that are in US also. If you are from a poverty stricken family, do you have the money to give 100 gifts to people? You do not have the money to give 100 gifts to the people. You do not even have money to buy one simple thing for yourself. So at that time, and then when I've made previous videos also, when people get depressed during festival time, or accidents happen, or suicides happen, why does it happen? Because those people who do not have the money, they now seeing you are showing off, like, to if you are a multimillionaire and you have another multimillionaire friend, if that multimillionaire friend has understood that my bursting 100 crackers doesn't give me any happiness, and that's why if there are two multimillionaires, one family is bursting 500 crackers, other one is neutral about it, doesn't burst any, or just burst one firecracker, it doesn't matter to him. That multimillionaire is not getting influenced, but seeing your 500 crackers bursting, the poor person in your neighborhood who can't even burst one firecracker might feel something that is going to now make him feel like, why has God been so unfair? But is it God who has been unfair, or is it the human who's bursting 500 firecrackers being unfair on him? Think about it. Because you can derive the same level of enjoyment if your ego is in check and neutral ego is there. You will technically get same level of enjoyment from bursting 500 crackers just for yourself versus bursting 500 crackers and making it a community activity for your whole neighborhood, where you allow a poor person who has never burst crackers to go and burst a cracker on your behalf. You will see, in fact, you will bring more balance and alignment back into life if you do that, versus you continuously every year think, today, this year I did 500, next year I'll do a little bit more, next year I'll do a little bit more, or this year there were 500 certain level of noise crackers, next year I want more noise, more light, more this, more that. Do you understand? The quest for more is something which is like a pit that never ends, and it's a pit of darkness that doesn't end. So you do not bring to true light when you are only doing more but not doing the right aspect of more. If you want to evolve in life, that also needs more. So you are technically right there in the same mental space as a person who's capable of evolution and capable of maturing as a human. But that more that comes from aligning yourself and balancing yourself leads to evolution of you as a human, versus the other more that leads to, instead of evolution, instead of deeper diving, leads to a pit of hell, because you are just feeding your ego. So does that make sense? And if people have any questions, please drop a question, comment, or give your experiences from living in a place where Diwali is celebrated differently, so that people who do not know how differently we can celebrate Diwali can think of restructuring their Diwali back, realigning their Diwali back into something which will not be a more driven thing. But even if it is a more driven thing, it's more of a good thing than more of a social evil now getting propagated, than a social harm getting propagated, than a celebration of a social evil or harm. Does that also make sense? I hope it made sense. And again, if anyone has any questions and comments, please drop a question and comment. I do enjoy Diwali. I do enjoy watching other people burst firecrackers. But the aspect of me which used to miss burning firecrackers when I used to live in US, that aspect of me went away eventually after living in India for 8-10 years, when I saw how much of a harm it is doing versus how much of a good it was doing. And I have technically, even though I came back to India, in all the years I've been back in India, there's only one time I have burst firecrackers, that too with small kids, and because I was doing it with my friends' kids. We were doing it together to celebrate it, to show them what firecracker bursting means. But we did it at a very minimal scale, not at a very large scale, just to have the magic of the firecrackers, but not as a ego feeding activity. And after that also, there are so many neighboring kids, when they burst firecrackers, I have fun watching their firecrackers. I do not feel the need that sometimes I may feel the need that maybe I should go and buy one flower pot or one chakra and burst it for the sake of old memory. But it is such a memory that if I don't do it also, it doesn't matter, because there are so many years, and it took me 13 years to practice this, of not feeling attached to bursting firecrackers. So maybe for some person who used to burst 500 crackers, it might take them 5 years to get off the practice of bursting firecrackers. But if you were bursting 500, burst 500, but do it as a community activity, or do it as an activity where realize that if you burst 500 also, or if you burst 400 also, your enjoyment level can be adjusted. It's not a very difficult thing, because we are conscious beings. We can adjust our fun also to a lesser level, as we can adjust it to a higher level. So I hope this made sense. Same way with any of the other Diwali activities that we do, which are adding to earth pollution, which are adding to air pollution, all of which can be adjusted to a lower level, lesser level, easier manageable level, where pollution won't be high. And have a safe next few years of festival season, thinking about it, thinking about how you can implement it, thinking about what is okay for you to give up right now in the next festival season. And didn't we do this similarly with Holi also? In Holi celebrations, slowly, because the colors were toxic to people and people were getting allergies with the colors, slowly, at least in Mumbai, I have seen that people have stopped using too much colors during Holi, and people have only started playing with just simple water during Holi. Why? Because of the same reason, that again, the enjoyment of the activity is more important than the glamour of the activity or the show of the activity. And so likewise, Diwali also can be slowly changed, and you can have light displays, LED displays, some other way of celebrating Diwali that an innovative person can come up with. If they want to use, invest a lot of money on Diwali activity, invest it in an activity which will be health safe versus health unsafe, or which will be more health safe than what it was previously. I hope this made sense, and have a great day. Thank you.